Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're going to be talking about Diablo Immortal, which is a new free-to-play mobile game in the Diablo franchise. It was actually pretty widely waited on and anticipated, you know? Diablo fans were pretty excited for this game to come out. I know there was a lot of memes and everything about it before the release and after it got announced and everything, but even with all of that, there was a pretty good amount of people who were excited for this game to come out, and they wanted to see what was going to be brought forward for the Diablo franchise, and they were just excited to get their hands on another installment in the franchise. But unfortunately, if you didn't know, the launch of Diablo Immortal has not gone as well as once anticipated would be, and this is because of a pretty massive flaw with the game. And unfortunately, I think since we're talking about a mobile game here, you can probably already kind of infer what that problem is with this game. Diablo Immortal has one of the worst microtransaction models that we may have ever seen in a video game ever. I mean, it's actually ridiculous what they've done to this game. I mean, you know, you can say whatever you want about the actual gameplay, you can say whatever you want about the product itself, but everything good about this game, whatever good there is in this game, is quickly completely overshadowed by the disgusting microtransaction model in this game. I mean, it's not even like Call of Duty or Battlefield or EA kind of bad. We're talking about a whole new level, man. I have never seen a game where you legitimately would have to spend 6 figures to fully upgrade a character. And keep in mind, we're talking about a mobile game too, right? We're not talking about some game that's $60 or even free to play on consoles or something. This is just one of those little mobile games that you're supposed to pick up and play, you know, 10-15 minutes while you're waiting on the bus or after you get off work just to kind of relax or something, right? To me personally, I don't really see mobile games in the same light that I see like normal video games on PC or on PlayStation or whatever, right? Mobile games to me are just something to pass the time. They're not legitimate games that I'm gonna grind, at least most of the time, right? Now, there's definitely been some exceptions to the rule, and Diablo Immortal could be probably in some ways considered an exception to this rule, but even then it doesn't excuse what we're about to be talking about. So yeah, Diablo Immortal has one of the worst microtransactions models possible. In fact, well, a streamer from New Zealand recently spent $4,000 on Diablo Immortal and did not receive a single 5-star legendary gem. So, New Zealand Twitch streamer Quinn69 has been highlighting the frustrations of many Diablo Immortal players regarding its aggressive microtransactions model. After spending several $1,000s on Diablo Immortal's shop, the streamer has yet to receive one of the coveted 5-star legendary quality gems. In a way, this has shown that pay to win isn't always the case, as this streamer burns away an alarming amount of cash without success. Diablo Immortal's release was highly anticipated, with many Diablo series fans looking forward to the next entry in Blizzard's iconic demon-slaying action RPG. As a mobile game with a free-to-play cash shop model, which also features PvP, many gamers were skeptical due to the potential for wealthier players' abilities to simply pay to win. Many mobile games feature aggressive microtransaction systems which frequently pester the player to make purchases or spend money to continue enjoying the game, something Blizzard promised to avoid. While all of the game's content is accessible for free, the reality for many players is that a long grind lies ahead for anyone not willing to shell out money to make progress. So basically, the way games like this work is you can either spend hundreds of hours basically grinding through the game mindlessly, dealing with all the negative repercussions that the game throws at you, you know, the time-based BS and whatnot that happens, or you can just pull out your credit card, enter the digits on the back and whatnot, next thing you know, you got whatever you need. But the problem with this model, obviously, is that, well, people don't always want to spend money to play a game. I mean, you shouldn't have to dump $600 into a mobile game to get the enjoyment out of it that you deserve to get out of it, right? You would think that, obviously, as players, you would want a game that comes out and you can actually play it without spending money, at least to a certain degree. Like, I get the developers have to make money, I understand studios have to make some sort of revenue and make profit and everything to keep shareholders happy, I get that, but there's always some sort of fine balance that you can fit it in, right? You can always find ways to monetize your product without making it completely ruined, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, the people behind Diablo Immortal just simply didn't get that. I mean, we're talking about a streamer here who spent $4,000 and got nothing high tier. Obviously, that should never happen in any video game, but much less a mobile game, right? We're talking about a game that you play on your phone. You shouldn't even really have the ability, I feel like, to spend $4,000 in a video game like this. Now, a lot of people are going to go ahead and blame the streamer in this situation and say, oh, well, you're an idiot idiot for spending that much money on a mobile game like this anyway, but I'm gonna go ahead and assume that Quinn69 here actually was streaming all of this, and that's why this went down, you know, to make money and make revenue and whatnot. Obviously, as a streamer, recording yourself playing Diablo Immortal when it comes out is probably a good idea. So I'm just gonna go ahead and assume that this was probably done for content, but I feel like people don't realize the discrepancy, right? Like, I feel like people don't realize the difference in how much this person spent compared to a normal video game. So this is a mobile game, which oftentimes the scope of these mobile games are quite limited anyway, because, well, they gotta fit the technology that they run on, and most phones are not as powerful as like a console or a PC. So you can spend, what, 60, 70 bucks to buy a video game on Steam, or you can spend $4,000 on a free-to-play mobile game and not even get the 5-star quality items that you'd want. And then people wonder why people like myself just don't get into mobile games. This is one of the reasons, man. And if you think this is bad, wait until you see this next story, because there was actually a YouTuber who did all of the math and, you know, added everything up to make sure how much it would cost to fully kit your character out in Diablo Immortal. How much would you have to spend on this mobile game to just basically get all the way to the end and have everything you need? And well, the number is literally so staggering that it makes me want to literally go to Blizzard themselves and chew them out. Like, it's fucking insane. Diablo Immortal is a free-to-play video game in the Diablo series that takes place between the events of the second and third mainline games, and it was originally released on the 2nd of June 2022 on iOS and Android devices, as well as being ported over to PC. While the game is free to download and play, there are also microtransactions that will allow players to upgrade their characters for an additional real-world cost. So how much money would you have to spend in order to unlock everything? One YouTube channel has put in the legwork to calculate exactly how much upgrading characters to completion would cost in monetary terms, and it's a lot more than you might think, with an eye-watering amount of $110,000 in total required. As originally reported by Game Rant, there are 3 ways to upgrade your character in Diablo Immortal: experience points, equipment level, and legendary gems. On what planet should you ever be able to spend $110,000 as a single person on a video game, right? Just think of the things you could do with $110,000. You could go and buy a house for that much money, quite literally. You could go put a down payment down on a house and get a mortgage and get a decent house in a nice city. You could buy like 3 or 4 cars with that money. The amount of investments you can make with $110,000 to grow that money into something bigger than that. Like, there's just so many things you could do with that much money, and I legitimately cannot imagine spending it on Diablo Immortal. In what planet do we as a society agree that you should be able to spend 6 figures on a free-to-play mobile game, guys? Like, does anyone else see that as ridiculous? So at this point, when I see all these people criticizing Diablo Immortal and making memes about it and just completely dumpstering this game for what it is, I honestly don't even really feel bad, because there's no way the developers, like, I just imagine they were sitting in a conference room, right? And the dude at the head of the table's like, all right, guys, how are we gonna make money on Diablo Immortal? And then some low-tier staffer or something's gonna step up to the plate with a, oh, well, actually, boss, I was thinking we could make it to where you could spend $110,000 on this game. And everyone in the room just started cheering him. They lift him up on his shoulders. Confetti starts falling from the ceiling. Because you already know that the moment that this whole microtransaction system was implemented, the higher-ups in this company were fucking jumping for joy, man. Not only is this predatory, but it takes it to a completely different level. You know, I thought it was bad when you could spend like $2,000 on Clash of Clans if you really wanted to, right? Well, that fucking pales in comparison to what you can do with Diablo Immortal, you know? I think that this is ridiculous, and this kind of standard needs to be set as something that won't be tolerated by the gaming community. I don't know if people are willingly dumping this much money into Diablo Immortal yet. I can only imagine that there are people out there just putting ridiculous amounts. I mean, we even saw this streamer that put 4,000. Like, in my opinion, that's way too much into this game. So I can only imagine that there's people out there that could spend even more than that, right? I mean, if the cap is up to $110,000, like, people could legitimately be ruining their lives playing this video game, man. And it just blows my mind, right? Like, that we still have to deal with this. I thought, like, back in 2016, everybody was complaining about this shit, and, you know, these game studios were finally picking up on the whole thing that, you know, people don't really like this kind of stuff. But apparently I was just simply wrong about that, man. This kind of shit needs to be stopped. At this point, Diablo Immortal deserves all the hate that it's getting. So with it being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Follow me over on Twitter and Facebook at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, talking about Diablo Immortal and signing out.